All right, and we are live for episode number 2 on the Pumped Podcast. Today I'm going to be going over my nutrition over the past few years of lifting because there has been huge changes in how I eat from when I started lifting to how I eat now. And in case you didn't know, nutrition is a huge factor in lifting. In my opinion, it's probably like a 60-40 split. 60% of getting fit, or bodybuilding, I guess, fitness, is the lifting, and probably 40% is what you put in your body. That's my number on it. That's just my judgment. I don't take it verbatim what I said. That's my guess. So this one I'm going to go chronological order again in when I started lifting to probably year by year of how my diet changed. And I'll explain the pivotal point of it and what I'm doing now, and also how I felt differently on both parts of it. So, in case if you didn't listen to the first episode, some of the stuff may overlap because I talked about my diet a tiny bit in the first episode, but I didn't really go in depth. So this one's just going to be straight nutrition. So let's get into it. First started working out in beginning of 2020, like January 2020, so over 3.5 years ago. And the first 8 months of lifting, I basically ate whatever and then supplemented it with protein shakes, like just the typical whey protein. I forget what it was called, some type of whey protein. I had that, and I ate basically whatever. I wasn't trying to force feed myself, nor was I trying to eat less. I kind of just ate normal. At this time, obviously, it's newbie gains, so regardless of what your diet's going to be when you first start working out, you're going to gain muscle or progress regardless of your diet. And that's usually how it is for the first couple of years of lifting, how your diet doesn't really make a huge impact, but you can optimize your gains from the beginning. So I ate whatever, including what my mom made. So yeah, anytime I would come home from school, mom usually had a dinner. Grateful for that. I'll go over some of the meals and instead of just saying whatever I ate. Some of the things I ate included, let's see some of the meals my mom made, like beef with potatoes, salmon. Surprisingly, I was eating really healthy and still wasn't conscious of how I was eating. Let me see some other dinners, like pasta, pizza, chicken wings. I still ate relatively healthy, even though I ate whatever I wanted. So my way of always looking at it when I started was I'd have normal actual meals throughout the day. Like for breakfast, I wouldn't just eat some cake. I'd have an actual breakfast, like a bagel, eggs, bacon or whatever. And then after I had my actual meals from the day, I would supplement it with whatever snacks I was craving. Like if I wanted Doritos or something, I'd have it after I ate my actual meal, just so I didn't overeat on the junk food. Because even though I just started lifting and I wasn't conscious of it, I still knew that if I made my meals junk food, I wasn't going to feel good and I wasn't going to look the way I wanted prior to even working out, just general health. So that was a big thing in the beginning. What else can I talk about with that? So about 8 months in, I started to actually have more protein in my diet, or at least tried to eat more protein. So this is, like August-ish, over the summer of 2020. Had more protein shakes, and then there was like these, I don't know if there were 20 grams of protein, like pre-made milkshake kind of things, like sort of like a Fairlife, but it was a different brand. I had those a ton, and there was these protein bars I used to have that were like 20 grams of protein, like 200 calories. I used to huff down these things. It wasn't healthy. In case if you didn't know, eating the protein bars, they're if you don't have a strong gut, as you know, they're pretty tough to digest. So at the time, I actually started to go on a bulk rather than just lifting. So I started to eat whatever I wanted, and I ate more on top of it, basically force feeding myself at the end of each meal. And I didn't have a concept of what macros really were. I kind of just knew protein, build muscle, eat more protein, whatever has protein in it, eat more. Uh, so I was eating a ridiculous amount of protein in my diet. Um, let's see, where do I want to go with this? So after my workouts, I would have the protein shake. If you aren't familiar with what shake that was, I went over in my episode 1. Go ahead and check that out. It's on there. And then I would have probably like four of those protein bars, the 20-gram protein bars a day. And then also I would have a ton of, like, probably like a quarter gallon of milk. Like every meal, I'd be drinking milk with it instead of water. So I was eating a ton of protein in and did not feel good on my gut whatsoever. And then this is a pivotal point in my diet. It started pretty soon in my lifting journey. This is like 8 to 10 months in. My stomach kept starting to hurt after I had all this protein, all these protein bars. Didn't feel good. Stomach was getting binded up. I didn't know what was going on, but even though my stomach was telling me, hey, chill out on what you're eating, mentally I didn't care. I just kept eating and eating. And then my stomach progressively got worse. And then it just kept hurting. It was like a sharp pain throughout my whole stomach. I didn't know what was going on. But I didn't care. I just wanted to get big so bad. I kept bulking, kept force feeding anything I could, just kept it going. And then eventually the pain got like really bad. And it started to become like completely concerning. Like some days I couldn't really move around because the pain was tremendous. And then eventually I couldn't really take it. So I'm like, all right, I got to go talk to a doctor about this. Went through a bunch of tests with the doctor, probably over a month span of them testing me, and then couldn't figure out what was going on with my stomach. Like all the results were coming in fine. Like my blood work was fine. All the other tests, I forget exactly what they did. All the other tests they did, scans of my stomach, they were fine. So they're like, I don't know what's going on with you. Still, even during this time, I was slamming down shakes, protein bars, all this whey protein that's just pure cow. And just progressively kept getting worse. And then eventually they figured out that I actually have ulcerative colitis, which, in case if you're not sure what that is, it's my stomach, it's a little gross, but like lining the parts of my stomach, certain foods that go through it, like the bacteria in my body, it kind of like attacks itself when certain foods come through it, or in general, and it affects my digestion. So a lot of the times, my body isn't able to take in all the nutrients that you eat from the food because my body's attacking itself and making a whole deal out of it, which makes my stomach hurt. So that was a huge thing because if any of you know someone I get the general term is IBD. If you know somebody with IBD or if you have IBD, the general rule is you can't eat anything from cow. You can't eat any beef and you can't eat any dairy. So wasn't able to eat any steak anymore, no burgers, no, what else is there from a cow? You get the point. I couldn't eat any of the meat from a cow, and then I can't have any dairy now, which both of those things in lifting are huge. Those are two major sources of protein, being able to build muscle, and those are pretty solid sources of protein as well. So that made a huge impact on my diet for trying to build muscle. Because it's like, what the heck? The thing I was just slamming down, these protein bars, these shakes, I couldn't have it anymore. So I had to take a whole 180 on my diet when I'm trying to build muscle and continue on this lifting journey, whatever you'd like to call it. So that immediately changed my diet after I got diagnosed. Then once I got diagnosed and changed my diet, I was able to feel a lot better. My stomach felt a lot better. So now I had to look at my diet differently, and I guess the main source of the way I got protein now was just chicken and ground turkey. Um, I still kind of I still snacked on stuff that had dairy in it, like certain Doritos have dairy in it. A huge snack that I love to eat while I was bulking was, I forgot what they're called, but they're like rolled up Doritos in a green bag. If you've ever tried them, I love those things for when I was putting on weight because they were so easy to eat, dude. I ate almost a whole bag. That's not the best way to put on weight. I'm just telling you what I did. I'm not saying it's the best option. Um, so now I had to think of different ways of getting in higher calorie foods to put on weight because I did struggle to put on weight. I forgot to mention in the beginning I was about 160, about 6 foot, 160. For at the time I felt very lanky for what I wanted to be. I wasn't happy with my size. So some of the main foods I'll make a list that I ate to help put on mass. For breakfast, I loved eating bagels. Bagels are huge for putting on weight because they're very calorically dense. They have a lot of carbs, and one bagel is almost like 300 calories. So I'd have maybe two bagels for breakfast. Um, Throw some peanut butter on there sometimes. Other times it'd just be a bagel with maybe coconut butter on it. Uh, that was the key food for breakfast, and then lunch it was peanut butter sandwiches. So peanut butter, bagels, bread, all big contributors putting on weight. I probably had like 2 to 3 peanut butter sandwiches at lunchtime. This is all obviously supplemented with different food, but those are the key foods that were able to put a lot of calories in. And then around dinner time, pasta was a huge contributor to putting on weight. I used to have loads and loads of pasta. And then also I'd supplement this stuff with actual protein like chicken or another one, peanut butter and Nutella sandwiches. In case if you're not a big fan of just straight peanut butter and a bread, throw some Nutella in there. It tastes great. That's another thing that helped to put on weight. And then obviously drinking calories. I always try to drink my calories too. Now I started to have almond milk instead of regular cow milk because that's what I was able to handle. And then let me think, what else is there? Such a long time ago. And then I force fed myself basically for the bulking aspect, even if it wasn't super calorically dense. Like I remember sometimes when I come home from school and go play COD or some video games, whatever I was playing at the time, even if I was just snacking, I'd like have a whole tub of, for example, carrots, and I'd just take down carrots. Was that the smartest way to put on weight? No, because you can eat a lot of carrots and it's gonna not be a crazy amount of calories. So I was a little ignorant at the time, but I was still trying my damnedest to put on weight, regardless of what I was eating. And then another way I perceived my diet while I was bulking was try to minimize. This was over time, so this is probably my year mark of lifting to probably my third year mark of lifting. I was still bulking, and I perceived my diet as I tried to cut out sugar, just like not sugar from fruits, not fructose, but just sugar like candy sugar. Uh, the way I perceived it, I don't look at it this way anymore, by the way. The way I perceived it was that would be the reason why I put on fat, which is completely not true. But for some reason at the time, I thought that sugar was the only thing that would put on fat. So if I had a ton of pasta, a ton of rice, a ton of chicken, even if I was like 2,000 calories over my maintenance, for some reason I thought I wasn't going to put on fat just because I wasn't eating candy. Which, in case if you know, that's not how it works. You have a maintenance, you have a total amount of calories you burn in a day. If you're curious what it is, you can plug it into a TDEE calculator. That's your total daily energy expenditure. That might be the right acronym for it. It'll give you a rough estimate of how many calories you burn in a day, and then you can work either your bulk or cut based off of that. I didn't really understand that concept at all, but I kind of just thought eat more, stay away from sugar, don't put any fat, and you'll bulk. Which I believe to be true at the time because I was playing sports while I was bulking. So I was eating a ridiculous amount of calories, probably upwards of 6,000 calories a day. But I was burning off so much of it because I was playing. I had probably 2 hour hockey practice a day, and then I'd lift for 2 hours. So I was able to ignorantly have this super high calorie diet and lift, and was still able to slowly put on weight without a ton of fat just because uh, the circumstances. And also, it wasn't really, what's the word? I forget. Anyways, next part. I wrote down a list of stuff just so I didn't forget any of the main points I wanted to talk to you guys about. Some of the favorite. Oh, okay. Yeah, some of my favorite foods while I was bulking. So, as I just said, I was bulking from the beginning to 3 years in, and then I tried to cut. I'll get to that in a minute. Some of my favorite foods, regardless of calorie density or thinking about anything related to lifting or macros, I loved omelets. Big fan of omelets. I love in the morning, you have like a 5 egg omelet with bacon, avocado, some broccoli maybe, and sometimes I'd have maybe a breakfast burrito instead. So it'd be the same thing except all wrapped in a tortilla. Those are two of the huge things I had. And then from there, some other things I had for lunch was probably, I still like pasta, even though, regardless of it being very calorically dense. And then some of the other things, I did really enjoy the peanut butter and Nutella sandwiches. So it kind of worked out. A lot of the calorically dense foods I did like to eat. And then, let's see, for dinner time, what were the big few that I liked? I can't really recall because it mainly was just whatever my mom made for dinner. That was that was a pretty huge part of my diet. Yeah. What else is there? Snacks. Oh, I'll talk about snacks. Yeah, I love the Doritos. I loved Rice Krispie treats. Oh, I'd have like 4 Rice Krispie treats a day. And then I was a big fan of fruit too. I'd probably have grapes, oranges. What else is there? I did like vegetables too. Like I said, I had carrots. I had peppers, like bell peppers. So even though I was bulking, I still enjoyed eating a diverse diet. So, so that pretty much was the main consistency of what my diet was from the start, my sophomore year of high school, 2020, to prior to my freshman year of college. So freshman year of college, my diet changed significantly again because now I'm constrained to whatever my meal plan was at college. The meal plan I got, because I was still bulking for another 6 months once I got to college, was the unlimited plan. So I'd have unlimited swipes in a day, and I took full advantage of this. So for breakfast every day, so my first semester of college, I had an 8:30 class Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So I'd get up earlier just so I can get breakfast in beginning of the day. I go to Dunkin'. I could use a meal swipe for a breakfast sandwich and a coffee. So I had that every morning. I had the breakfast sandwich, which is a bagel, and bacon, egg, no cheese. Couldn't have the cheese. So that was a pretty calorically dense food to start the day. And then around lunchtime was about halfway between my classes. I would get chicken, like teriyaki chicken with rice from it was like an Asian type place. So that was still very healthy related food. And then as soon as my classes were done, I'd have the rest of my day, my free time was basically spent in the dining hall, which was a buffet. I kid you not, I probably spent upwards of 2 to 3 hours of the rest of my day eating and training. Basically, my whole social life was just eating and training. So it wasn't really a big social life. Hence why I explained prior talks with you guys that I basically lived my freshman year of college in a box. As in, like, didn't go out much, straight, put the blinders on, and just went. Ate as much as I could, trained as hard as I could, made sure I got like 9 hours of sleep a night. And it definitely worked. Dude, I put on a lot of mass at that time, but also put on a lot of fat because I still didn't understand how eating more doesn't always equate to more strength or muscle, to the point where it turns into fat. Some of the foods I ate when I was in the dining hall for the ridiculous amount of time in the afternoon was grilled chicken and brown rice. I had mounds and mounds and mounds of both. Dude, people would look at my plate in the dining hall and look around. Like, I'd set my plate down and then go wash my hands to then eat. When I put my plate down and walked away from it, I'd come back to somebody like looking at the plate, just dumbfounded at how much food was on it. And I would have like 2 to 3 plates in one sitting. Dude, it was upwards. It looked like a man versus food challenge, basically, of how much chicken and rice I was eating. It was ridiculous. It definitely didn't feel good how much I ate. Don't get me wrong. I had to force feed 90% of it. I don't think I went hungry for 6 months. I woke up. I didn't even want to eat Dunkin' anymore, but I still ate it regardless because I knew I needed to do that in order to put on muscle. So I probably went from 190 pounds to about 207 in 4 to 5 months, which was a lot. And obviously not all of that is muscle. That's probably a solid 10 to 12 pounds of that is just straight fat. Because I was eating so much. But I gained a lot of strength. Ooh. My squat went up completely. So I went in there knowing that if I ate this much, I knew it was actually going to... Once I saw, like... how do I want to word this? Once I saw that I gained like 10 pounds within 2 months, I could tell I gained a little bit of fat. And then I was kind of like, okay, I could either, 1, try to get rid of this, or 2, go full all the way with the bulk, trust the bulk, trust the process, keep eating, and then change my diet around in the spring, and then enjoy it from there, which is what I chose. And it kind of did not work well at all. So I'll get into that in a second. I want to make sure I get everything on this list that I wanted to talk to you guys about. Yeah, well, it looks like this is the next thing on the list. All right, well, I'll tell you about it then. So this is January of 2023 now, which is this year, January of this year, yeah. I got really sick at the end of the month, which was when I was about to start my cut, and then it kind of just snowballed downhill from there. So I was at 207-ish. I got really sick, and probably was the flu. My weight dropped to like 193, which obviously it wasn't all muscle. I lost a lot of water weight because I wasn't able to work out for a week. I'm sure you know how this may have happened to you before. Of course it's happened before. Get sick and you lose like 10 pounds and some strength, and it's just how it goes. So my cut already started bad, and then my diet, I saw Chris Bumstead online explain, like, I was very impulsive with how I learned nutrition at the time. I kind of based it off a few TikToks. I saw C-Bum talk about eating whole foods if you're trying to cut, which is single ingredient foods. For example, chicken, rice, not pasta. Pasta's numerous ingredients to make pasta. So I had a whole foods diet, as well as I based my cut off of something called a protein-sparing modified fast, which is basically your training days, you would eat at your maintenance calories, and your rest days, you would eat only protein. Just enough protein to keep you keep your lean muscle mass, which is really bad because you need those recovery days when you're trying to cut. And also, I wasn't able to track any of my calories because I wasn't able to bring the scale in every time when I made the food or when I went to the buffet. And obviously they throw random stuff in there like butter into the food, like random stuff I couldn't track, some oil or whatever. So it was a very sporadic cut, but I just really wanted to cut and I knew it wasn't going to go crazy well. Like I knew it wasn't going to go well, but I just wanted to get it done. I wanted to make it happen and learn from it and then be able to do what I'm doing now. So that went terrible. I went from 193 to like 177, and it didn't look like a healthy cut at all just because I was basically starving my body. Like when you have only protein in a day, your body needs those carbs and fat. Regardless of the stereotypical, I don't, what's the word? People think that carbs are bad for you. No, your body really needs carbs. That's your number one energy source. So I stopped cutting probably around May, and then started to bulk again over the summer, while still keeping a whole foods diet. So first half of the summer, I was just eating anything. I was slamming food again, eating as much as I could, and then I put on weight really quick, and a lot of fat on really quick compared to what I was. And then midway through summer is when I changed up the diet. Or no, I didn't change up the diet. Midsummer is when I started tracking everything I eat. I got a scale and I got an app where I can track all the macros I eat so I can make sure I eat in a surplus every day as well as minimize the amount of fat I gain. Because that's ultimately the best possible way for bodybuilding slash fitness is if you can track everything you eat, that's the most ideal thing. Because then you know how much protein, you know you got your protein for the day, you know you got your fats in for the day, you know you got your carbs. And you know you're not eating too much or too little. So I've been doing that now for about, 4 months, 3 to 4 months, and it's been fantastic. It takes the burden off of always thinking I need to force feed myself. And then I was still able to eat whole foods. And then I was also drinking a lot of my calories because, as I explained previously, whole foods are probably the least calorically dense foods you can find. So it was a lot of chicken and rice, a lot of ground turkey, and decent amount of fruit still, like bananas. Bananas are pretty dense. Avocados, mangoes. What other foods do I have? Rice cakes are big. So those are the main foods for over the summer tracking. And then now I'm at my sophomore year of college, and I still have the same diet, except now I've been cutting for about 2 months. So I was able to slowly decrease the amount of calories I had because I didn't want to just jump straight into a cut. I want to do it right this time. And I went from eating about 4,500 calories, slowly cut it down, probably 300 calories a week, down to 2,600 calories I'm eating now. And I've gone from 198 to about 190, 189 now. So average is about almost a pound a week, if not slightly more. And it's gone good. I seriously don't think I've lost any strength. And I couldn't be happier. That was another thing I want to talk about. Changing my diet to whole foods, I've had so much more mental clarity. And what I mean by that is I can think clear now. Less brain fog because my stomach is actually happy with the food I'm eating. And I could just tell in just daily activities and cognitive functioning, everything. It's all impacted by what I put in my body. And I've seen such a drastic increase in my cognitive ability, brain fog, mental clarity, just from changing my diet around, which it may not be the best possible, may not be possible for everybody who's listening to this to be able to track everything you eat and have only whole foods. But orienting towards a better diet can definitely change your mental clarity, cognitive functioning, and overall just make you feel better. I feel great. I'm literally losing fat right now, cutting where you're supposed to feel tired, and I still feel fantastic. So I think that's it. I think that's really all I got for my nutrition. I hit all the key points I wanted to talk to you about, and I wanted to explain how it's definitely a huge factor in my lifting. Um, that was one more thing I want to mention. The pumps are also way better, being able to track my calories and what I eat. So I'm going to leave it at that. Next episode, I'm not entirely sure of what it's going to be yet. I do have some ideas. I may do a Q&A. I may throw a Q&A up on both of my, or all my socials, and I'll literally just do a Q&A and go through, answer all the questions you guys ask. So if you do have any questions, please type it in there so I can address them. I want to have as many questions as possible to address in this next episode. So if you got any, just give me a holler at them. Because it doesn't have to be literally anything, any question. It doesn't have to be fitness related either. I'd love to let you guys know any information, any fun stuff that you guys want to know. Even if you want to talk about video games, dude. If you want to give me a question about video games, go ahead and give me a question about video games. Like I used to play. So go ahead. That's all I got. Thanks for listening in. Peace out.